Hello, this is Real World Audio, and today I have a special for you. Everyone has been wondering about Autoformer volume controls and Transformer volume controls, and as you have noticed, they are not exactly cheap. Usually they are at the price of a decent preamp, and that's where they start, and they get more expensive than that. So it's not a quickie if you want to think about that. However, this is the uh, Autoformer volume control on the budget, and I have found you a very pricey specimen at that, around $40+, and this is something that they sell, that you can mount it in your wall as a unit. Here's another picture. So basically it's in your wall to control the volume of your loudspeakers, and this is basically designed for use after your amplifier, and it's an in-wall volume control unit. And as you see, the price point is pretty low, and the price you pay for that, for getting so cheap, is that it's going to give you a little compromise with the bass response, and it's not as high quality. It doesn't have as high inductance as a real full-blown Autoformer volume control. And the other thing that comes as a compromise with this price range is that these units, they have only 12 steps. So you will have just a cruder volume settings, so you cannot just go in a really fine steps with your volume, but it's good enough that you can choose between several different loudness levels, and you can go quite quiet as well. So you can pick your choices between really quiet and very loud. It will work for that. And I have used something like this. It was not this exact unit, but if you just look online, there's, I think, at least like 5 or 6 different companies or versions of these units that is being made, and some are as low as $29 or something like that. So really it's a no-brainer to try it out if you want to. And this is how I started my journey with it, is that I started using these units, tried it out for myself, and I was impressed enough by them that I just went on and designed my own, and had it actually being made by a master transformer winder. So I did not do the winding myself, I just did the design, and it turned out quite amazing. But of course the price was much bigger than this number here, and also the result was far superior than this Decora style easy solution. So when you use this type of solution in front of your amplifier at the low volume, it will work there, but you need to make sure that you have a source that has a very low output impedance, and that's because this is expecting 8 ohms impedance going out. And as you know, preamps have a way higher output impedance than that, typically in the several hundred ohms if it's a pretty good one. I'm talking about like a tube amplifier that's good for a tube amp preamp, but more typically most tube preamps have at the kilo ohm level output impedances. And if, for example, what I have tried is if you put it in between your CD player directly and your amplifier, then it will work, and will have a pretty good result. And you can try it out if you want to. The other thing you can try out is the way it was intended to be used, to put between your amplifier and your loudspeakers. And if you want to do that, I do not recommend to do it with a tube amplifier, because as you go down with the volume, it's going to reflect higher and higher load to your amplifier, and basically as you are turning the volume down, you are drastically losing bass response, because your loudspeaker at the quiet levels will be in the many thousands of ohms of impedance reflected to your amp, and your tube amp is expecting 8 ohms, and if you are getting it higher and higher, you are going to roll off the bass severely. So with thousands of ohms, you are not getting any bass whatsoever if you listen to quietly, which kind of defeats the purpose of this. However, even in that position, like the full max volume and a little bit less, it will work. So if that's your range where you listen to, and you usually just take your volume a few ticks down, it will work. But if you have to take it down a lot, then it doesn't work. However, if you check, there is another, let me see, do they have here at 150 watts? So there's like multiple selections for this unit. This was the 100-watt version, and oh, look at that. That's only $29. I told you there's something really cheap as well. The 150-watt version uses resistors. It doesn't use a transformer, so make sure that when you click on it, look at that. It has that many resistors. So basically, if you slide, or maybe it also has a knob version. No, it doesn't have a knob version. So there's many different versions about it. So the one that has the resistor network, that only has the slider version, so basically higher volume, lower volume. And what it's doing is that it's setting these resistors, and this version keeps a constant impedance. So here you go, I think it's in 8 ohm. Does it mention the ohms rating? No, it doesn't mention, but I think if you go check around what this unit is, it must be an 8 ohm or 4 ohm rated thing, and it keeps the same impedance reflected to your amplifier. So you might want to try out this unit as well. It's kind of cheap too. But the thing with this, that this thing, because it uses resistors, it's going to be essentially working the same as your current volume controller pot, but it's like a discrete ALP spot with its discrete resistors. However, here the resistors are not in front of your amplifier and not in front of your preamp, where you find it, not at the low level, but at the high level after your amplifier. So it means it's going to mess around with the signal less than your present volume control does in front of your preamp. So this might be already a step up above your current volume control situation. But I have to add, it has the benefit that it reflects a constant impedance, and basically as you are going lower in volume, the more constant an impedance it's going to reflect to your amplifier. So it's kind of like almost like adding a Zobel network to your loudspeaker, so it will be more and more correct. Your amplifier will have an easier and easier job to drive your loudspeaker. Yet what I have noticed is when you add resistors to correct your loudspeaker, because here as you go down with the volume you are essentially correcting how your loudspeaker behaves. You are going to get more and more of an interaction between resistor and amplifier instead of the loudspeaker and amplifier, and this is going to result in a more mechanically correct sound. So if you A/B test it compared to a loudspeaker only situation, then this will sound more correct and will probably give you a quick win in the A/B test. However, the price you pay with putting resistors here or anywhere else is that it's going to take away from the life and the dynamics and impact of the end result. So it's going to how I heard this phenomenon is that the mid-range is going to get the life sucked out of it. So as you go lower and lower with the volume, the mid-range is going to get lifeless. But the bass and the high end will be more and more prominent in contrast. And you will think that the bass is getting better and the highs are getting better, but no, the mid-range is getting weaker and weaker, and your brain picks it up immediately as thinking that the bass is improving, the high end is improving, while the reality is that the mid-range is fading away. And the brain is an instrument that compares the frequency ranges one to another. We are not hearing the bass as a separate unit. We are not hearing the highs as a separate unit. Our brain compares the frequency extremes to the mid-range, and that's how the brain calculates what's your impression about the whole thing. And if you train your hearing to observe the mid-range, then and observe all of these phenomena, then you will be able to quickly realize when you hear this happening. However, if you are not experienced with it, you are not warned about it, you just see it happening or hear it happening, then you will think that, ooh, the bass is popping out, the highs are popping out, but then after a week or so you notice that you are not listening to instruments anymore, you are listening to discrete frequency bands. So that's a little bit of a warning, but it might still be a step up from using the resistor in your preamp. However, I haven't tried it out, and it looks that they are not very high quality resistors, so your mileage may vary. And just try it out if you want to play around with it. I cannot guarantee that you will like it. It will work better. It will work just the same way with transistor amps as with tube amps. So if you have a transistor amplifier, this will most likely, I almost can guarantee, it will help with stabilizing the performance of your amplifier. And I think I have a strong suspicion that with the solid state amps they will like this better than a tube amp would like. And thank you for tuning in, and please like, subscribe, and as you see, they also have a 300 watt version of it with bigger transformers. I would recommend to get the bigger unit because it has a bigger headroom, and hopefully it also translates to some extra materials in it that allow you to have better end result and less compression. Because even though this thing is rated at 300 watt or 100 watt, I do not really trust these numbers. I think they are pretty undersized, and I do have some Autoformers that are 60 watt rated Altex, and those are humongous. Like this is the size of this unit, and that 60 watt single Autoformer is much bigger, like about 30 times bigger than a single Autoformer here. So when you read this 100 watt rating, this is not 100 watt hi-fi, maybe 100 watt with 100 hertz at, as the consideration for full output at 100 watt. So this 300 watt unit, I would consider it maybe a 20 watt unit for high fidelity application, not more. But even that's kind of like pushing it quite a bit. Maybe 10 watts. Don't expect more from it. Look at the price. That's what you are getting. You need a much bigger core and much more copper to get a realistic, even like 50 watt response. And here, if you are getting like 30 times less, then it's pretty much sure. I can guarantee you that the laws of physics cannot just be changed because we want to get you something for lower price. Then if that's happening, it means that something is getting compromised, and I can tell you what's getting compromised. It's the base response. So this thing is, if you want to consider lower frequencies than 100 hertz, then just derate it drastically. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share your comments, share with your friends. Bye bye.